There are lots more Facebook shares to float today, but the stock is not sinking. Let's talk to Reuters correspondent Ernie Scheider. Ernie, lockup expiration, another one for Facebook today, but the stock's up 7.5%.
Yes, so this lockup expiration removes a lot of the questions that some investors had about the stock. This is the last lockup expiration, so there'll be no more, large swaths of $100, $200 million shares coming out there. So if you're an investor, you can fully focus on the company's business model and not have to worry about some of this ancillary stuff out there. Part of the reason the stock is jumping is because there's nothing requiring anybody to sell.
Yeah.
So if you're a Facebook employee and you have, say, 10,000 shares, you might be holding on to that for a little bit longer and seeing, okay, where does the stock go? So you're holding on to it. So the big fear that everyone had, that these hundreds of millions of shares would come online today and the stock would drop, is not coming to fruition.
Yeah, okay, but somebody that we know that did dump some stock recently and made a cool, $11 million or so, is Sheryl Sandberg, COO.
Yes, COO Sheryl Sandberg sold about 530 million shares, as you say, netting about $11 million. Now, she still owns roughly, about 20 million vested shares in Facebook, but 530 is clearly her lion's share of the stock. So she's gotten rid of most of her holdings in the company.
So what does this mean? Is she going to be tapped as Treasury Secretary by Obama? Her name's been floated.
Well, the inauguration's in 2 months' time, so we'll find out by then.
We'll find out. All right, you know what it's time for? Zuck-ulator.
It's my favorite time of the day.
Oh, just in the past few moments or so, he was at 10.8, now he's up at 10.9.
Money in the bank.
Money in the bank. All right. Well, we should quickly mention, actually, that David Wenner, who joined Facebook from Zynga, he was CFO over at Zynga.
Yes, so Dave
where
Wenner,
they obviously have had a lot of troubles.
Yes, so Dave is going to be a finance official at Facebook, and Zynga makes these online games that primarily operate through Facebook's infrastructure. They've been having a lot of trouble recently convincing customers to pay for those games.
Right.
So Zynga's got its own issues. So, Dave Wenner's departure from Zynga is sort of a bad sign for that company, but it's Facebook's gain. All
right. Move with me back to the market monitor. We're going to talk about Cisco, which had good first quarter results that beat today. They're up 6.5%, but there's a but here. Fill us in.
Yes, there is a but. CEO John Chambers is basically saying that, and he's been warning since April that businesses have been reluctant to spend on the switches and other physical infrastructure parts that Cisco makes. And so, especially he's highlighting Europe. We've talked about Europe a lot. We know that this is a big issue out there. But he's basically warning the street, hey guys, things aren't as rosy moving forward as we think. So, he expects flat earnings and slower revenue for the current quarter that we're in right now. Europe's going to get much worse before it gets better, he says.
Right.
So that's a big concern.
All right. Let's look at the broader markets and see, because I think everybody is down today. Of course, fiscal cliff worries, and President Obama is going to be giving a press conference today, as I'm sure you all know, at 1:30, where he is going to hopefully give a preview as to what he's going to talk about with congressional leaders on Friday about the fiscal cliff. And just as an aside, it looks like it'll be the first opportunity that he's going to get out there and make a mention of this whole scandal surrounding CIA Director David Petraeus. Okay, Ernie Scheider, stay put. I'm going to come back to you in a moment. I'm going to move over to Jerome Martis, our Director of Consumer Research, and we're going to talk some retail. Abercrombie & Fitch up 27% today. We haven't heard good news out of this company in a while, much less stocks up 27%.
Yeah, the last time they had a beat like this was 7 quarters ago, since the first quarter of 2011. The company increased their full-year guidance because they had lower input costs. Cotton prices have been on the decline, which is definitely helping the bottom line. Right. The American brand is also resonating very well internationally, but the company still warned that for the holiday season, they're looking at a single-digit decline in same-store sales.
Wow, okay. So overseas doing well. Anything else that they did in terms of their inventory, in terms of their styles? Again, you talk a lot about the fickle consumer that goes, the younger consumer that goes there, or not. Anything else?
They haven't done anything special that really stands out. In fact, on the contrary, they've been facing even more competition by the likes of Gap and American Eagle, but nothing that really stands out.
All right, well, at least the short-term boost has helped one of its peers, Aeropostale, which got an upgrade today.
Yes, they will also benefit from lower cotton prices, and for those teen retailers, for the teenagers that are looking for lower price points, it's a very good option. In fact, the Thomson Reuters IBIS mean is looking at a 29 cents increase for earnings this season, but according to Starmine, it's very likely that the company could post an earnings as high as 40 cents, so we can see a positive surprise there as well.
All right, interesting. Jerome, thank you so much. As always, I'm going to head back now to Ernie Scheider at our market monitor here, and we are going to close out the show with some news from AMD. This is a Reuters exclusive, possibly putting itself up for sale, or at least its patents, its most valuable asset.
Yes, the chip maker has hired J.P. Morgan Chase and Company to explore options, and the company certainly has a lot of options, but it's got to, really focus on its basic business, which is selling chips. So the big rival for AMD is Intel. In the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, you saw AMD and Intel chips in a lot of desktop computers. But lately, the rage has been mobile. The past few years, that's where the industry is going. So Intel and AMD have both said that it's a challenge for them.
Right.
Intel has the cash flow and the reserves to really focus a lot more on R&D. AMD doesn't have that. They're smaller, but what they do have is patents that could be attractive for companies like Microsoft, Samsung, or even Facebook, according to some sources that tell us here at Reuters. So, AMD is really out there, and it's got to do something soon, and one of those options might be a sale.
We'll close it out and come full circle with the mention of Facebook. Possible buyer? Who knows? We'll see. Okay, Ernie Scheider, thank you so much, and thanks to Jerome Martins as well. Remember, folks, follow us on Twitter at Reuters Insider for more headlines, and check out our YouTube channel at Reuters.com/ReutersTV. I'm Lisa Bernhard. This is Reuters.